Hey, welcome to another episode of Becoming a Cop. We go live every Monday, 5 p.m. California time, and you can adjust the times for where you are, but we are here with another part 2 from last week's episode. With us tonight, Donovan Havener with his room that's going to be is being remodeled with all kinds of good stuff, right?
Yeah, I got to go find a new place to have my podcast studio.
He's getting kicked out.
And there's Black Rob is here tonight. And not only is Black Rob here, well, it's Black Rob, but the Black Rob support crew is present tonight. And let's see, how did I beat Lauren to the live? I don't know, man.
Right?
Sometimes that happens. What's happening there? And
She was supposed to bring the evidence, apparently, of me. What was it, the self-tan or whatever? And she doesn't have it, so she's scared to come live.
Is that what's happening? We shall see. We shall see if that is the case. So Lauren is going to be. Let me see here. Job, is it Job or Job? I can't remember. You can fill in for me. I need an extended leave of absence, and that's here. I'd like to make an announcement. Evidence has been produced. What kind of evidence is that?
Oh God! Oh no!
What? I'm looking at Black Rob on the screen, and I'm looking at him on his live, and I see a little bit.
So if everyone's heard of there's YouTube, I think it's YouTube, whatever, called Jubilee. So yeah, that was when I was on that episode. That was interesting.
Well, that does not.
Hey,
So
I was on control of the
tan?
lighting and all that. Don't blame me.
So you got a spray tan?
No.
You got a real tan?
True. No.
What? Why are you different looking there than you are right now? You look like Casper in life right now.
What happens when you work night shift?
No, not at all.
Yes.
I don't.
No, 15 years I was never that white.
Yeah, but keep in mind, I'm part
did
British. We don't tan.
Yeah, I did night shift in Wisconsin.
I'm gonna have to go with I don't know, man. No, that picture that looks super tan to me.
Yeah, I'm calling spray tan.
Nope.
Hey, just embrace it, Rob. Embrace it. Just embrace it.
No, I'm not going to embrace something that's false.
What do you think, Job? What do you think, Job? What do you say, man? What do we got?
This is a witch hunt. You're oppressing Black Rob.
It looks supernatural.
Lauren is not. She's making me cough. Oh my gosh, I got tears.
Lauren's on fire.
Lauren, good job.
I did that episode too. That was crazy.
Well, I think for the purposes of right now, I'm going to go with Black Rob was spray tanned in that Jubilee episode.
Yep. Oh yeah.
No.
Well done, Lauren. We appreciate you stopping by. She's going to be on an extended leave of absence. So, Job, you are going to have to take over for Lauren and come in with the good comments that she makes. Okay, so shall we move on? Shall we move on? Everything you want. Oh no, she's not letting up, man.
Yeah, I know.
She's cutting you no slack, Rob. What's happening here?
Fine. That's fine. You got to give her a little something every now and again. So.
She's got it in for you, man. I don't know what's going on here. Let's see, Joe, as the chairman of the BRSC Black Rob Support Channel, I think it is. I cannot confirm nor deny Rob's alleged involvement in a 10. Oh, even the Black Rob support group is not backing you on that.
No, they're just making no comment. There's a difference.
Oh
we do not comment on atrocious and absolutely false allegations.
No comment means guilty.
No,
I have no comment.
You're like Fauci. You're like Fauci pleading the fifth.
I plead the fifth. Well done, everybody. So tonight is our. You know what? We should take a moment to say. Like Rob, no
I'm
10.
going to change my handle to that. That's going to be. I'm going to change it.
I did not sleep with that woman. Oh my gosh, this is brutal tonight. Police peoples are brutal. They just are.
Oh, they are.
We are going to go into. But first, I want to say Lauren will be taking an extended leave of absence she has another thing that she has to do that's more important than us on Monday nights for a little bit. So she will be back, and so we'll have to kind of fill in for her. Okay. So the fifth. I plead the fifth. So. We're going to go in with part 2. Everything you want to know about becoming a cop, part 2. So we will be doing this. Let's see if I can make this work. Nope, can't make it work. No.
Not with your screen layout.
That's this stupid thing. What is this? I kind of like it though. Every once in a while, if it does work. Let me see. Let me try it again. Where is it?
It's not going to work.
No,
it's not going to work because that thing's too big. So let's take that off. We'll go back up here. And not with that layout too, I don't think. Forget it.
That's good. It covers up Donovan's face.
That's not right.
Good with it.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill, eventually don't miss me. And you better pop in. Dang it, 4th host. Shoo. And yes, see you soon, Lauren. All right, let's go.
Lauren's going to pop in and just give us a random comment. We won't know what it's about. She'll just drop something and just leave.
She's just, you know what? We're going to be sitting here minding our own business, and she's going to come in with some kind of comment that's going to make us all lose our minds. Lauren's back, man. Pardon me as I take a drink here. You know what has cool? My green screen, this top is actually green.
Okay.
But the green screen makes it black. Science. All right, so we're going to go with. Wait a minute. Oh, see here. Okay, so we're going to go with the first one. Life as a cop. So the first thing is, what's patrol really like? And I can't talk about this at all because I don't know what patrol is really like in 2026. So, I guess the first one to go to is Rob.
Yes, because I'm the only one on patrol right here. So
yeah, so we see stuff that we see on cops and videos and things like that. But is that real life? Is it happen like that all the time that you see on these police videos?
I mean, So it depends on which ones you're looking at. Are you looking at like the TV show like Cops or Live PD or whatever other reality show that follows cops around? So they cherry pick things that go on. They have to make it exciting for TV. So I would say probably that happens about 5 to 10% of the time, stuff like that. The remainder 90 is pretty mundane. Like I remember, because I'm on a 3-day. Sorry, it's been a long couple of 4 days, but it was crazy. Like the past 4 days for me, like we had, I think, a total of 4 shootings in 2 days. But like, so 10% of the time it's like there's action, high speed chases, whatever. But the remainder 90 is like going to these mundane calls that aren't really exciting and doing reports and stuff like that. So it's the stuff you see on TV is a small fraction of what patrol really is. The rest of it's just quote unquote boring, if you want to call it that.
So it's the same as it's always been.
Yeah, pretty much. The only difference is, it's the same calls and stuff like that. The only difference is, you have more paperwork now that you have to do. You have more gear that you have to carry. But pretty much it's still the same.
But why do you have more paperwork?
More rules.
Yeah, definitely more rules. If it's all computerized, why is there more paperwork?
Well, I'm talking paperwork like actually forms and stuff like that you have to fill out. Like for our domestic violence forms, we have to do the original report. Then there's like 3 different supplemental reports that we have to fill out just on a single domestic violence call. Whereas like, back in probably your day, Ken, it was just simple report and that was it.
He wrote it on a notebook sheet of paper, one of those little pocket notebook.
Yeah, that's it. All free form.
But like now for like a good example, like domestic violence is a good one just because, or DUIs, because there's so much involved paperwork wise and like forms and stuff like that people hate doing it. Like domestic violence, you have to do the original report, then you have to do the supplementals, like talking about injuries, then you have to connect them with a counselor, and like if you want them to get an order of protection or restraining order, like you have to assist with that. And it's a lot more involved, and it's a liability thing because if anybody doesn't know, the way police work really runs is every rule or every new form or whatever is it's there because something happened in the past. So, policy change and rules changed. So all the extra stuff is because something has happened in the past where it went bad. And so they're like, all right, well, to prevent that from happening again, let's add this in.
You know what I really hated back in the day was booking juveniles. That was a pain. Arresting juveniles.
It still sucks.
There's like all these extra forms that you got to do.
Yeah, although over here in Tennessee, it's actually it's interesting transitioning from being a cop in Los Angeles at LAPD to being a cop out here. Very different when it comes to like arresting somebody. The length of time it takes is actually like nothing. I'd arrest somebody the other day, and if I was in LA, it would take me like 5 or 6 hours, just the way their process is. Over here, hour and a half, maybe tops.
Wow.
And that's from the time I get to the call to the time I'm done with the reports and they're booked.
Donovan, what do you think?
Well, at first, Rob's in an area that has common sense, some common sense yet. It hasn't been Californiaized yet, so.
And it will not. I refuse to allow that to happen.
Well, I don't think you have much say because all the Californians are fleeing over there now.
True.
So, yeah, I've seen that, just in the academy when you talk about all the mandatory reports and everything. It's not just that something's gone wrong. It's what's the new craziest fad too, Yeah. Everyone wants to be the front runner on stuff. I remember doing DV classes up in Washington, and all the prosecutors all wanted their own little forms if anyone complained of being strangled. It was a whole different packet, not just a one sheet check some boxes. It was a whole nother packet of paperwork you had to do if they were strangled. So
if they were strangled.
Yep. And
So
and that's not because anyone did anything wrong. It's just because now it's coming out, you know, strangulation is, you know, one of the leading factors in injuries and all that kind of stuff. And so I want to make sure that they're leading the charge and capturing all that information.
I think the common belief is that patrol is like 100 miles an hour for 12 hours, when in fact it's like 30 seconds of high adrenaline and 5 hours of report writing and stuff.
I can attest to that for sure. Like, I remember I had a pursuit in LAPD. It was an hour and a half long pursuit. And hour and a half long pursuit, which was very long in most pursuits. Most pursuits don't last that long. But I think it was like 10 hours of paperwork because stolen car, the guy was wanted for like other crimes, and then he broke into a bunch of UCLA dorms and had the stolen property in the back of the stolen car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to book all that.
Yeah, that was a very lengthy. I mean, yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, that's a pain. So it's not like, you know, what I've always thought of is that, you know, when you're doing patrol, you're driving around, you're looking for stuff, you're getting calls, going to calls, and then something comes out, you got a code 3, you're in pursuit, you're in foot pursuit, you're going to do a shots fired call, man with a gun, blah blah blah, whatever, and then you get there and it's all done within probably a few minutes. And then you go back down, your adrenaline goes down. And what happens, Donovan, you may know a lot about this too, is what happens to the human body when you go whoop, and then whoop, and it's over several years, every night over several years. What does that do to the human body?
Go on, Rob. You're in the midst of it right now.
I think he was asking you, but I mean, yeah, I'm in the midst of it. Like, good example is last night, you know, working night shift, usually like around, 4:00 in the morning, things kind of die down because it's 4:00 in the morning. And we'll be there, just, talking to each other, whatever, maybe driving around. But then we had a call, somebody was trying to break into a house. And so it goes from being quiet for an hour. So like, you kind of like relax a little bit to high adrenaline, we're flying down the street to get there. And it turns out to be like, a BS call or whatever. But then like you have that from the low high adrenaline spike, then it drops and it wears on you. It makes you really, really like, it wears down your body over time unless you're able to, be able to mitigate it. And, like, I don't know how you mitigate it, but it takes a toll. Like they say police officers go through like over 200 traumatic incidents in their career, whereas most people go through like 2.
Yeah, and that's why officer wellness is becoming a bigger thing. That's why a lot of departments are letting officers work out during duty time now, just to correct things in the body. So
yeah. Lauren has a serious question for Rob. Considering all your experience, do you think colleagues do a good job with paperwork? Are they thorough, competent?
They are, because there's so many checks that go through it. So like, the process where I'm at, so, everything's on the computer. So we'll do the report. We then have to submit it to a supervisor who then has to review it all, make sure everything's like good. There's no changes need to be made. So supervisor reviews it. And then if they approve it, then it goes to our data entry team, which is like a records division. And then they go through it too, to make sure everything's good. And if they approve everything, because they could, at any point in the process, they can get kicked back to the officer to redo something. So there's multiple eyes that look over the report before it's actually finalized. So, we do a pretty good job when, most officers do a pretty good job when it comes to report writing, because there's so many eyes that look at it before it's finalized.
I'd say that's a department cultural thing though, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I dealt with so many different departments up at the academy that some departments really put a big emphasis on report writing, and you could write the world's worst report at another department. Supervisor would just sign their name to it, and it would just go in the system. So it all comes down to a cultural thing with departments.
Yeah.
Job says, is there more scrutiny placed on the politically correctness with things like someone identifying as X gender and they need medical attention before being arrested? What do you guys say about that?
I mean, yeah, it's because, with cameras and everything like that, there's more scrutiny placed on everything, how you talk to people, and like it just, there's more scrutiny because there's more people looking at it. Like I said, body worn cameras, in-car cameras, everybody's got a cell phone nowadays. So like if you're dealing with a sensitive topic, there's usually other people filming depending on the situation. So, I mean, with that many cameras on it, like more scrutiny is placed on it. And then medical attention is for sure. Like, although I would say where I'm at, not as much because, the way we do it is once we arrest somebody, if they're injured, they're injured. We get an ambulance, check them out. But then, once we get to the booking facility, like we just hand them off to the sheriffs and then they do their own stuff and they have their own processes when it comes to like medical attention if the person needs it and they handle it. We don't.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in LA, it's like, it was a pain because you had to, once you arrested somebody, when you take them down to jail, you have to have them see the jail doctor and they go through this whole lengthy like questionnaire about everything. And then if they need medical attention, you're the one that has to take them to, contract hospital or get medical attention.
What do you think, Donovan?
I'm a little old school on this when you start talking about, the identifying the genders and all that. When I was still working the road and the gender thing was just coming out, we were always told you go by what they are, not what they claim. And I don't know if that's changed now with everything going on. Obviously, the one meltdown video that went around the entire world, I think that officer didn't go with what they wanted. They went with what they believed.
I don't have a problem with that myself.
I think it also depends too on like the department and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a emphasis they put on it.
Yeah, Portland, you'd never get away with misgendering someone.
No, you would not.
Never.
We talked about this before, but we can go into it again. Is there AI assisted body cam screening to help with writing reports? We did an episode, I think, based on AI stuff, but you guys can answer this one.
So some departments, I'm not necessarily sure it's AI assisted, but you can narrate a report. Like I know some departments, you can narrate it, and then they'll have people who will basically watch it, and then they'll actually write the reports based on your narration. I'm not sure if like departments are using AI assisted stuff. I'm sure probably they are.
My understanding, the way Axon does it is it'll do a transcript of the audit or of the recording, and then you can just give it the commands as do a paragraph form, summarize, blah 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 blah. So you can create your report using AI. Mm-hmm. No different than what we do in backgrounds now using AI. We just gather all the information and tell AI how to put it together. So you're seeing it more and more. More and more companies are coming out using AI to help with the report writing. But it always comes down to you're still responsible for that report.
Yep.
You have to make sure it's correct because AI is going to lie. AI is going to make stuff up, and AI is just going to assume some things.
Yeah, and you gotta proofread those AI reports. You go to court and you testify, and then the defense says, "Yeah, so you wrote this in your report," and you go, "What? You know what? You don't know what AI is going to write, so you got to make sure you double, triple check that because that can bite you on the butt." Let's go to the next one. The next question is, what's the hardest part of the job? That is a multi-pronged question. So Rob, and you know what? I think that in order to frame this correctly, what's the hardest part of the job over all the years that you've been a cop? And has it changed? And there could be probably more than one answer to this, right?
There is absolutely more than one answer because how do you define the hardest part? Like, and it's also subjective. Like what I might think the hardest part is, Donovan might think that's easy, and vice versa. I mean, that's a hard question to ask or answer, just because, like, I think you have to look at it a certain way. Like, the hours, like working night shift. Like for me, I hate it. I hate getting off work at normally 7:30 in the morning. But is that the hardest part of the job? I wouldn't say so. I don't know. I don't think there's any one particular hardest part. There are things that make it challenging and difficult, but as a cop, you kind of have to be flexible and adapt to everything. So, like I've adapted to the hours, or like, paperwork wise, it's like, all right, well, something changed. All right, it may be difficult at first, but you get used to it and you adapt.
Donovan?
Yeah. To me, the hardest part of the job was always separating the job from personal life.
See, it's funny. Like for me, I have no problem with that.
Well, I mean, it's more. It's not like that in your face kind of separation. It's that when I was younger, didn't have the kids, it wasn't too bad. But once my kids came into the picture, it was trying to keep that line between things I would say outside of work that would draw me back in, but then also just things that you see. I remember a time out at the mall where me and my wife were out there, different jurisdiction. I had no arrest authority in that jurisdiction. A fight breaks out. I looked at my wife. I'm like, this is cool. I can actually watch a fight and not have to do anything. And the look of terror on her face just came down, where I couldn't separate that. Hey, this might be the one traumatic thing my wife sees. And to me, I'm like, where's the popcorn? I'm ready for this because now I don't have to hop in, So that's what I kind of mean keeping it separate, is just understanding people around me too, that they're not used to what I'm used to.
I think so. It's almost not piggybacking on that, but in a sense, I think actually probably one of the hardest things, I would say, newer cops, like who have less than maybe like 5 to 10 years on, the hardest part is the work-life balance, work and personal life.
Yeah.
Because I see so many guys now, especially, that they're working all the time. Like, they'll have their normal days on patrol and then they'll want to work overtime. And so having that work-life balance is difficult. Like, people tend to get burned out if they're working that much.
Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of guys and gals, I should say, they love the money so much. They love the pay and the job and the adrenaline, and they love the overtime. Meanwhile, their body's going, hey man, I got about this much in reserve. Just, you need to chill out a little bit, and they don't listen. I think that's not a good thing. I think the shift change thing is tough.
Yeah.
Because if you go from being at work at 6 a.m. till 6 p.m, and then you go and you start working nights, and then all of a sudden you're working at 6 p.m. till 6 a.m, you just keep rotating that. That's not good for your body. I think that's probably the hardest part, because not everybody's built the same.
Right. I mean, like for me, because I work nights, but then on my days off, I try and, I'm not the type that I'm going to keep that same hours on my days off. Like, I'm not going to stay up until 7:30 in the morning on my days off. To me, that's just not feasible. So, I kind of switched to, like, I'll stay up late on my days off, maybe till like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. So, I still have a functioning life, like, on my days off. So, but for some people, that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What I think for the people that listen to this who are candidates that want to join, I think it's important to note that when you're on probation, usually when you're on probation, you're probably going to work every shift, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you just need to also realize your limitations. Understand if you are a morning person or a night person or a graveyard person, that you're going to be working shifts that don't agree with you. But you're still going to have to do it.
Yep.
That's just the nature of the job. So just be ready for that. Just be ready for that. In case you get there and all of a sudden you go, I hate this. Yeah. That's too bad.
Yep. You gotta suck it up.
That's just too bad.
Yep.
So I think might be the hardest part of the job. Obviously, there's other things. What do you guys think about some of the calls that you've been on, the child abuse, the sexual abuse, the calls where you had to go and there was a rape victim and things like that. I hated, like with rape victims, I always asked the rape victim, "Do you want a female officer to talk to you?" And they not one of them said yes. So I had to go through tell me minute by minute what happened, and you had to get graphic with them, and they're sitting there crying, but they wanted to. Whoa, that was tough.
Yeah, it's tough. You kind of have to build a wall, like separate your emotion from everything, just because you can't let that affect like how you do the job, really. But it's hard. I can remember going on calls. Like one I vividly remember was was I still on probation at LAPD, or was I think I just made P2 at LAPD, and no, I was actually still on probation. I was phase 3 because I got paired up with another officer who was also phase 3, which would never ever happen. Well, I wouldn't say never, but it shouldn't happen. But it just so happened that night we got paired up together, and we went to a call where a guy had sexually assaulted like a 6-year-old, and we're the ones going to that call, and we're like, we have no idea what to do because we've never dealt with that before. We dealt with it like once before. So like having to deal with that and figure out what to do, and also the restraint too, because long story short, this family had let this guy rent a room from them who they didn't know. And so it was that guy who basically sexually assaulted their 6-year-old kid. And so we get there and the dude's passed out drunk in his room, and like we had to go, get him, and like holding the restraint of not wanting to just beat him because of what he did. It's like that's hard.
But that's the difference between cops and regular folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You find it abhorrent, some of the things that you see, but the cop in you, the professionalism in you, the restraint in you doesn't allow you to act out, and you just put the guy in cuffs, book him, and let the justice system take place. Yeah. Donovan, you went in a lot of different stuff, man. And
yeah, for me, it was always taking kids out of the house.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter how horrible the living conditions were, how crappy the parents were. Just knowing that kid hated you because you're taking them away from their parents, even though you knew it was in their best interest and everything. And I had to do it. When I worked in the small little village, I knew the families, I knew the kids, and doing that and having that personal connection was even worse because, man, when they would scream at you and say they hated you, you could see the hate in their eyes, which is a whole lot different than a drunk looking at you saying, "I hate you."
Yeah.
So that was always the hardest part for me, was just taking those kids out of the home, even though it was the best thing for them.
Yeah, and it was always tough going to those child abuse calls. And one of the favorite, I don't know why, extension cords were the favorite of abusive parents. And you go and you see the little kid, and on their leg was the little loop of the extension cord where it hit the kid's legs and stuff like that. And that's just tough to see. These little kids are innocent, and like that. Any kind of abuse. And it's just, this is just a very small sampling of what you see. Some of the murder scenes that you go see, and the brutality of robberies and all this kind of stuff. And then you're sitting right across the table from a suspect that you arrested for some brutal crime. And you have to sit there and ask them questions and all this stuff. And they're just, they could care less.
Yep.
These criminals. All right, let's switch gears here. What do you actually enjoy about police work?
I mean, there's a lot to enjoy, like, the camaraderie, and, one thing actually I would say, talking about the camaraderie, is the difference. So like LAPD, you get to, the way the scheduling works, you get to kind of like, put in what days off you want or what days you want to work. So there's a lot of flexibility there. So you may be working with completely different people from one day to the next. Whereas my current department, you have set days off, and you have that for, a long time. So you're working with the same people every single day. So I like that because you're working with the same people. You develop close bonds with them because you're going to the calls with them. You're always working with them, and you develop friendships that way. And I like that about it, like the camaraderie, like, hey, we're in it together kind of mentality.
Mm-hmm. Donovan?
I guess I just like the fact that, and it sounds so cliche, but I understand it more now, is that I knew I was making a difference in someone's life, whether they knew it or not. I knew that I was looking out for their best interest.
Yeah. I think one of the things that Rob was talking about too is the camaraderie and all that. Mm-hmm. And I think that just going on a call and knowing that you needed more troops, and you put the call out and you knew the cavalry was coming. You knew that there was a group of people that had your back, and that they were coming to cover you, whatever you needed. And that was probably one of the best things to know that factor when you talk about the camaraderie and everything. And actually, another great thing is when you arrest a bad guy after a pursuit or a foot pursuit, and you got him dead to rights, and you arrested him and stuff. That's very satisfying. Putting bad people in jail. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of cool. We touched anything else about that? Is that good, guys? We touched a little bit about this one. How does working nights affect your life? That's another loaded question as well. Rob, you've been working nights, right?
Yeah, so I've been working midnights now for 3 weeks. It has a big effect on life in general, just because like for most people, like your entire, like, let's say your social support system, your friends or whatever, they don't work the same hours as you do. So like for me, it's like, all right, I'm sleeping during the day and I'll get up, like late afternoon so I can go into work. And it's like, so you're sleeping when other people are awake, and then you're awake when most people are sleeping. So, it's like you rarely usually see people or like interact with people other than the guys you work with.
Mm-hmm.
It's really on the days off that you get to actually like feel normal.
Did you guys have favorite shifts? What's your favorite shift?
Donovan.
Donovan's smiling.
Rob's gonna think I'm nuts. Graveyard was my favorite shift.
Oh God!
I never missed anything family wise. I never missed anything with my kids. I was at every event. I only slept 4 hours a day max, but I learned to just make it through. I mean, and on my weekends, I would flip my sleep and I would fall in line with the family on my weekends.
So my favorite shift is, I call it mid PM. It's the one I was on before, where 3 PM to 1:30 AM. I love that shift.
Yeah. I when we worked 8-hour shifts, I was mid PMs, 6 to 2:45 in the morning. And then when I went back to patrol in 97, they had switched to 12-hour shifts, and I was 10 in the morning till 10 at night, that was okay. But I like the 6 PM one. That was seen when the sun goes down. Ooh, baby.
And plus, the way I look at it too is like, okay, the 3 PM to 1:30 AM, like if you get a couple hours overtime, it's no big deal. Like you get a late arrest, a DUI, which is usually pretty common. It's, you work a couple hours overtime, you still get home when it's dark out.
Mm-hmm.
And then like there, I can get like 5 hours of sleep and I'll be fine. Whereas like on night shift, if I get a couple hours overtime and try and sleep, it's like everything gets screwed up.
Yeah. I think the thing with graveyards though is you work your graveyard shift, you get off at 7 in the morning or whatever time it is, and then you got court at 8.
Yeah, that's rough.
That sucks. Yeah. Donovan, how did you deal with that?
Well, number one, I wrote good reports, so I didn't go to court all that much.
Oh, look at you, the golden child. I don't need to go to court. I wrote awesome reports.
It's because they never filed the cases. That's why.
No, they filed them, Rob. They filed them, and we got.
You never got any filings. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I never had any problems with court or anything. And for me, I think I only worked in my entire 29 years. I think I only worked maybe a week of afternoon shifts, and that's it.
Wow.
I
Mm.
never wanted to work it. Had no, because again, I would be away from my family when they were awake, and I didn't want that. I would rather do it while they were sleeping. I'd rather work while they were sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Job has a good question. With graveyard shifts or long hours in general, do you guys find yourself having more friends as cops by default?
I mean, I think just as a general rule, regardless of what shift you work, you typically will have more cops as friends. Just because you associate with people who are the same, mindset, and typically it's cops, firefighters, first responders. It's because we're very different than a normal person in that aspect.
I think it's what you do outside of work though, too, because I mean, I was big into coaching soccer when I was, still working. And I think I had a 50-50 percentage of soccer friends and police friends.
Yeah, I didn't hang out with cops all that much. My partners, we used to hang out. When I had a couple of partners that I worked with a couple of years in a row each, and we were best friends, and we used to hang out all the time. But as a rule, I had other friends off the job, and so I never really made cops my main friends. So I don't know, man, because like graveyard, when would you have time? You'd have to have your other graveyard buddies hang out with you on a regular basis. So I don't know.
No,
I wouldn't.
I had plenty of friends, Ken. What are you saying? I didn't have friends?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think you guys hit on a perfect point. It's like it's what you do outside of work. Like if you're working all the time, working overtime shifts, yeah, most likely your close friends are going to be cops because you're always there. But if you have like an outside life, away from the job with that whole work-life balance, you'll probably have a 50-50 balance.
You know what, though? I want you to go into a little bit more of that work-life balance because I think that's important for candidates to understand about that. I think people get on the job and it took them so long, it took months or whatever years to get on the job, and they finally got there, and now they're absorbing they're like a sponge, and they think being a cop is my life.
Yep.
So I think that's a bad way to look at it. But what's the work-life balance that you're talking about?
I mean, so like for me, I work 4 days on, 3 days off. So like my days off, I'm doing, like for me personally, I go outside, like I'm hiking, I'm, running with my dogs, whatever. I separate, like when I'm on the job, like when I'm working, I'm, on the job. When I'm off, I typically don't try and think about work at all. And do other things like besides anything that might be related to, law enforcement. So like having hobbies and stuff like that away from the job that are separate from the job is that work-life balance.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And Donovan, how did you handle that?
Well, first thing is I was financially in line with everything. My wife made sure that we were never living paycheck to paycheck. I didn't have to work overtime if I didn't want to work overtime. We lived within our means. We didn't buy all the toys. We didn't have to have the latest and greatest. And I think that's part of where that working all the time comes in. They start seeing the money on overtime and, oh, I can get this, I can get that. And then they forget that you got to work the hours in order to get the stuff. And then they're not enjoying the toys that they're buying. So that was a big thing for me, is just being financially sound through my career so that there was no urgency to work overtime. I got to pick and choose what I wanted and what I didn't want to work.
Yeah.
You hit on a big thing with that, the overtime, because like I have a classmate of mine who he's looking at buying a place and his mortgage would be over half of his monthly, like, so basically we get paid twice a month. His mortgage would be over basically more than one paycheck. So like, and that's absent of all the other bills and stuff that he has. So it's like he would have to work overtime just to be able to sustain himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a bad thing because there's a lot of cops that there's two types of people that I think of that work overtime. The ones that include overtime as part of their monthly income, and they bought that boat or that really nice car, and all of a sudden the overtime dries up.
Yep.
And then there's the other ones that can't afford to be a cop unless they work overtime.
Right.
And we talked with we had a podcast episode. I think it was it Tyler, wasn't it, Donovan? Where I think it was Tyler, and he had to actually quit being a cop because the pay he couldn't support his family on They thought they could when he first started, but then when the bills started coming and everything, he had to quit his job and go back to truck driving, which paid like 3 times as much as being a cop. But he wanted to be a cop really bad, and he tried it out, but the pay wasn't there. So I would suggest that if you have to work overtime in order to either support your lavish lifestyle or just to support your family, that's something to think about, man.
Like I remember, so you're talking about overtime and it drying up. I remember at LAPD when I first started back in 2008, we had like cash overtime. Like it was, there was a lot of it. People were like making a ton of money. And then the city claimed they ran out of money. And so they switched from cash overtime to you had to basically put it as comp time. So like put it in a comp bank and to use at a later date. So there was no more cash overtime. And I remember a lot of cops like losing a lot of stuff, like losing houses to foreclosure and, having stuff repoed and having to give stuff back like boats and cars and stuff like that because they couldn't support themselves anymore.
Because they weren't living within their means.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, working at the academy, I can't tell you how many times I walked out in the parking lot and these new recruits are driving in with brand new cars. They still got the paper plates on them and their cars and I'm pulling into the car, my personal vehicle, and it's got rust all over it. And I'm like, well, I got plenty of money to buy one of those, but I'm happy with this thing, Yeah,
I want to do something else with my money.
Yeah.
So let me see. There's
Job's got a good question here.
Yeah. Job says, is overtime not a forced thing in most departments? I know last episode it was mentioned that there was a shortage of Leos nationwide. I'll let you guys take that.
So, I mean, some departments have, actually, I think a lot of departments nowadays are doing forced overtime, but it's different depending on the department. Like I know LA County Sheriff's Department, they're working a ton of forced overtime where like they'll work a double or something like that, where they have to work and they don't have a choice. My current department has overtime mandates, and usually it's like a couple a month where, it's you have to have a certain number of officers work like a special event or whatever. But what they do is they'll ask for volunteers first. And then if like they can't fill one spot, then whoever's gone the longest without they call it a mandate, working a mandate, they usually get chosen. So like, so there is forced overtime depending on the department, but the way they force you to work it depends.
Yeah. I think for most departments, if you're like on a afternoon shift or a day shift and the next shift coming in is short, I think almost every department says, all right, who's junior on the squad? And then that's being forced. I've seen some departments though that do it on a rotating basis. Doesn't matter your seniority or anything. They keep a list, and when you're forced, you move down to the bottom of the list and everyone moves up a spot. Which I thought was kind of cool.
That's how my department does it right now with the mandates. But like, talking about if the next shift is short, the precinct that's just that I actually came from, their night shift, their midnight shift, they had a couple officers, I guess, call out sick or something. So they were like under the minimum staffing. So, the shift that was working the mid PM shift, they asked for volunteers like, hey, who wants to stay over like 4 hours to work? And usually they'll ask for volunteers before they actually just force somebody.
Right. And normally nowadays it's normally crickets when they ask for volunteers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think with some departments, like if you're on probation, you're just going you're working at the will of your TO.
Yep.
If your TO, if it's 15 minutes before end of watch, and your TO goes, "Hey, look at there's a drunk driver," you're like, "Oh, great." Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta do whatever on probation, but sometimes overtime is I don't remember overtime being mandated unless there was a unusual occurrence or a mobilization or something like that, Rob. But they usually can't. Yeah, well, yeah, it could be.
So LAPD, unless it's changed, I mean, for the most part, LAPD never had forced overtime.
Yeah.
There might be, and to me, it was always weird because, there were times when, whatever watch or shift I was working, we were under minimum staffing or bare minimums, and they would do whatever they can not to call in somebody on overtime because, overtime budget's so thin as it was. So, I mean, there were days where I remember working West LA at working the mid PM shift from 3 to 3. We would only have a couple of officers to cover 64 square miles. And that's not safe.
Yeah.
But that's the way LAPD would do it. They'd rather do that than call somebody in on overtime.
There is one time when LAPD can force you to work overtime is if there's a mobilization of some kind and they get you on the phone. If they get you on the phone, if that phone rings, it's a 213 number, and you answer it, that's on you.
It was always a block number. It was a private number. It never was you never would see a caller ID number on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, cops are notorious. If there's a block number or private number calling, they won't answer it.
I'm not answering that call. Yeah, if they can get a hold of you, that makes it. This next question is going to be interesting. It's going to elicit some responses here. What's it like dealing with difficult supervisors and coworkers? Oh man,
I'm gonna let Donovan answer this one first.
Yeah, Donovan.
I had a different attitude. I didn't care if I got written up. I didn't. If I had a difficult supervisor, he knew I didn't like him or she knew I didn't like her, and I wouldn't hold back. I'd tell them what I thought. So it's tough. The job's tough enough. And then when you have someone who wants to be difficult and for no apparent reason, I didn't have room for that. And I worked with being a sergeant. I had difficult sergeants that, had some other shifts. And there were times that I didn't have a problem calling them out and stepping in between them and their troops saying, "You're out of line." I just kind of had that. I don't want to say it's cavalier, but I was like, write me up. I don't care. I'm going to tell you how I feel.
Yeah.
Not the answer you thought I'd give, right, Ken?
Well,
you thought there'd be the scientific thing of.
I think that is true to form for Donovan, but you work for a different department. We're on LAPD. If you talk smack to, I know an LAPD officer that got written up for tone of voice. A lieutenant wrote her up for tone of voice, and you get fired for insubordination on LAPD. Yep. And so it's a little more of a precarious thing how you respond to supervisors. Coworkers is another thing. There was more than one coworker where we walked into the watch commander's office and we go, "Hey man, we can't work together. We just can't work together." And they would do whatever they would do, but there were some officers that I absolutely could not work with. And that was just the end of that. We just didn't jive, Rob?
So it's interesting talking about that because I remember I was on probation when this happened, but I for whatever reason, got paired up with another officer. I later found out the reason why I got paired up is because I was a probationary officer and nobody wanted to work with this person. So I got paired up. And I absolutely hated it. There was a lot of issues officer safety wise with working with this person. So I was just I had enough. So I went to my lieutenant or watch commander or sergeant, who then I talked to the lieutenant. I was said I don't feel safe working with this person and gave explanation as why. that lieutenant, who I have the utmost respect for, heard me out and was like, all right, let's see what we can do. And so literally went into the schedule and switched everything to where I would never have to work with that person again. And I don't know if that officer got talked to or not. There were things that happened with them later on in their career that pretty sure they got fired. But yeah, like if you have an issue with a coworker, like legitimate, like not like, oh, we don't get along, most of the time they're not going to like bend over backwards to help you out. They'll just hear it and be like, all right, well, you guys got to deal with it. Yep. But, when it comes to supervisors, difficult coworkers, it's like, all right, like, they're going to make the job harder. It's like, all right, well, I can either let it affect me or just be like, all right, whatever. That's how they are. I'll just deal with it. And that's kind of my mentality. It's like, all right, like at some point they'll be going to a different, shift, different precinct, whatever. Same with the supervisor. It's like, all right, nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. And Donovan, you worked mostly one-man cars, right?
Mostly?
Yeah, all one-man cars?
All one-man cars are one-person motorcycles.
You didn't have a passenger on your motorcycle. That's
not have anyone ride, bitch.
Yeah, on the LAPD, it was always two-man cars for the most part, and you had to sit there 12 hours with somebody in a car.
Oh yeah.
And for the most part, I got along with almost everybody. But I remember like one time, it's that mentality where I had one guy. He had more time on the job than me, and all he loved was dope. And we would spend all 8 hours. He would be hunting the parks and everything because he'd be driving and he'd be looking for dope stuff with dope. And I'm like, I hate dope. There's so many reports for this little Mickey Mouse arrest that you're going to do. It's not like they were going 50 pounds of heroin or something like that. It wasn't like that. It was like over an ounce of marijuana. And you're sitting there, and I hated that. I had another guy that we were working in the daytime, I remember, and school was in, and we go by LA High School. And he's driving, and I'm just kind of tootling around, looking around. All of a sudden, he puts the car in park, and he jumps out, and he goes hopping over LA High School's chain link fence because there was a juvenile that was out. And he wanted to chase the juvenile for truant. And I sat in the car and looking, I'm going, wow, look at that. He's in foot pursuit. And I did not give a crap because that was such not a thing for me. Him and I didn't get along. We didn't work. We didn't work together very long. But there is a thing where you have a common goal, and if you work with someone and they like do things differently than you, hey, go work with someone who loves to chase kids inside a high school campus if that's your thing. But I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
Right? So that happens.
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned like the two-man car because like at LAPD, obviously two-man cars, like that's all you do. So coming to where I'm at now, it's all one-man units. And I at first thought I was going to hate it because it's like I'm always used to working with somebody else. Quickly realized that, no, I actually just hate working with other people in my car. I want to be alone. Like, because then I could do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I thoroughly enjoy working by myself now.
Yeah, you can
only one in the car.
And you get really possessive. You don't want anyone in that passenger seat at all. I hate it. Your area now. I tell you what, man, the big thing I realized working in a single person vehicle was when we had the big Chevy Caprices. Ken, I don't know if you ever had those. You were probably an Impala guy, right?
We had Impalas. We had Chevy Caprices, I think.
Chevy Caprice was basically a boat with wheels. And you'd get in that thing. If you'd go to reach the passenger seat, you could maybe make it a quarter of the way across the passenger seat. Then when they moved us down to these Crown Vics, you're like smashing your fingertips on the door. The car got so then you just started. I couldn't imagine two people in a Crown Vic. Where the Caprice, you could at least sprawl out, and but
so what we're driving
made a
now,
big difference.
So my department, we have Explorers. So those are the take-home cars that people get, because we eventually going to get a take-home car. But those are the Explorers are the take-home cars. But then we call them extra cars, where it's like if you don't have your own car, you have to check out an extra car, which they're Ford Tauruses. those things are tiny if there's 2 people in there.
For tourists, there's not even a police package for tourists, is there?
They are tiny cars.
Yeah, a long time ago there was a tourist package.
I mean, they're like they're like from 2018 or something like that. The ones we have.
Yeah,
so they're small. Like 2 people in there, it's cramped.
Who had the police interceptors? Was that Ford?
That's Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the new Explorers are called now too, are interceptors.
Yeah,
interceptors. Those are cool names like that.
Nothing better than the Dodge Challenger I had when I was an SRO. Now that was Charger, not Challenger, Charger.
Charger, yeah.
Charger. Yeah, that was nice.
LAPD had a few of the Chargers, but they were small.
Oh yeah. Oh, I loved arresting someone and having to get the plunger to put them in the back seat because there wasn't any room. Oh,
yeah,
that was good stuff.
If you're watching this, Google the 1978 Plymouth Fury, LAPD Plymouth Fury.
Oh yeah, the Fury,
dude. Those were rockets, man. Those are the fastest cars ever, and they had the Mickey Mouse ears too. They didn't have the light bars then. The Career. Let's talk about the Career. This is a kind of Rob will be able to weigh in here, coming from California and where he's at now, and so will Donovan. Is the pay really as good as people think?
I mean, I don't think it's bad. Well, where I'm at, we don't have state income tax in Tennessee, so that helps tremendously. I mean, it all depends on your lifestyle. Like Donovan said before, if you live within your means, yeah, it's decent pay. But if you don't, then you'll have issues.
Well, you're going to have issues if you go into it just looking at pay.
Yeah.
You've got to look at the full package. What are the health benefits? How much are you going to pay out of pocket for health? What is the retirement? I can tell you in Nevada here, they are out of their minds. If the city doesn't cover your retirement, almost 30% of your money is for each paycheck is going into retirement. And I don't know how new recruits in this state can survive on that because they're not getting the big bucks like all the other big departments are. So you've got to look at all that stuff. Retirement's a big thing, and new officers don't ever think about that. Find out about what the retirement is. Is it through the city? Is it through the state? If it's through the state, how much is being put in? What's the multiplier then? When you retire, how much money are you getting? You have to know, is it going to be double? Is it going to be 2.5, whatever, but figure it out. That's a lot of stuff. People look at pay. Departments are all over the place. If you look solely at money, I would tell you then Washington is the place to go.
Really?
There's very few departments that start at under 100,000. But that's just strictly looking at pay. That's not looking at everything else. It's not looking at cost of living. It's not looking at health benefits. It's not looking at all that stuff. So there's some departments that get paid really well. They just suck at everything else.
I mean, look at San Francisco.
San Francisco, how much do they pay?
So you want to know what their starting pay is?
Yes.
It's like 190,000.
But that's like poverty pay in San Francisco area.
Right. So, but you're not if you're just looking solely at the pay, you think, oh, that's awesome. Blah, 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 but they don't take other things into consideration.
Yeah, you can't find a 1-bedroom apartment for less than $4,000 or something like that. It costs a lot, and so these departments on the West Coast that pay all this money, it costs a lot. Cost of living is huge up there. Job is asking, are the health benefits really good? At least, and again, it depends, right?
Yep.
A lot of times. It depends on the agency, and this is what I wish I had known when I first started, even going back way back. But today is even more difficult because most police candidates don't look at the entire package that's being offered, the pay, the retirement, your contribution into your retirement, the city or county or state's contribution into your retirement. How much is your medical going to cost? At the end of the day, you have to find out everything that they're going to nickel and dime you, that $190,000 per year ends up being $80,000 per year because of all the taxes and the money and and then also overtime.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned a long time ago in Washington State is Washington State does not have medical into retirement. So when you retire, you got to pay for your own medical, where most of California, it's included as part of, you get your pension and you get your medical paid for.
Yeah.
And that's not universal either across the board. That's not uniform across the board for departments in California as well. It depends on the agency. But you got to look at all that stuff, because you work all these years, you work 30 years and all of a sudden you're in the poorhouse.
Yep.
Because you got to pay $3,000 a month for your family's medical. Look into that stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, most people, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rob.
I'll say most people, when they're applying, they don't look at all of that. I mean, I remember one of my classmates in Lateral Academy, they left their previous department because their previous department didn't have I think their retirement was a 401k, or like there was non-existent. And so they left because of that.
Yeah.
Like, you should look into that before you even join.
Yeah.
Well, and just know too, I mean, if you're looking at going out of state, like military folks who, hey, I moved to this state, it sounds like a good thing to be here. Look at, is there state income tax? Is there not state income tax? Look for the kooky things like Washington State does. They have a family medical leave tax where if you have kids, all of a sudden there's a baby coming. Well, the mother and the father can get paid then for up to 12 weeks for being off from this account. You have to contribute to a long-term
disability.
Long-term
not disability. It's like the long-term care care tax, where you have to pay into this thing every single month. But I think they said the max you can take out if you ever have to use it is like $30,000. So you're crapping your money away. So you got to look at all that stuff, because that whittles away at that pay.
Yeah.
One thing to say, don't go to Washington.
And when you get on the job, make sure the day you start that you start contributing to your 401k, whatever they call it, deferred comp. And anything else that's extra that's going to put the money in your savings and build up over 20, 30 years, you'll be surprised. You'll be a millionaire by the time you retire.
Yeah.
So do that immediately. So let's see here. Job also asks, with that said, what states or cities are the top paying for retirement medical benefits? I haven't kept up on that. But generally speaking, I mean, I do know that that LASD and LEPD are really good for retirement and medical benefits. You guys know what other agencies there are across the country? I don't even know what their pensions and stuff are like.
I mean, my recommendation is, I mean, again, if you can find a state that pays really well, again, I'll go back to Washington. They pay really well there. If you plan on working a full career there, retiring, if you plan on not staying there and going to the Midwest or the Southeast, you're going to do really well. Because
as long as you don't have
a lot of money in retirement.
Just make sure you unload that $800 a month car payment before you go to the Midwest.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Because the pay isn't going to be the same. But generally speaking, it used to be a rule of thumb that you could earn, let's say you earn $100,000 in California, and then it's $60,000 somewhere in the Midwest or something like that. And people go, holy cow, the pay difference is so much, but it's supposed to cost less to live.
I mean, I'm a perfect example of that. I moved from California to Tennessee. My current department pays, I think at LAPD, I was making about $120 a year. And over here, I'm making about a little over 80. So it's a big pay difference. However, no state income tax.
Oh, that's the $20,000 right there.
Right.
And also the cost of living is a lot less too. Like, I'm paying $1,600 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. Whereas
unheard of.
A 2-bedroom apartment's like $3,000 now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's unheard of in California.
Right. Man. Everything's a lot cheaper out here. So it's like, yeah, you're getting paid less, but cost of living is a lot less too.
Yeah. And I would encourage people to get your finances in line. Don't go into police work in debt, because you're not gonna get a big cash windfall from police work. I mean, Just pay your stuff off and have good finance. Donovan is a good example, and I'm not Rob. I've never got into it with you about your finances, but it's good to have the least amount of debt that you can. There's no reason why you can't then save the money, and then pay cash for stuff. But police work, I remember I was told years and years ago, if you want to be a millionaire, you're not going to do it being a cop.
I mean, you can, but it just takes discipline.
It takes a lot of discipline. We're not saying you're poor.
Right.
We're just saying to research the medical, the retirement benefits. I think there's a big issue in California with CalPERS. CalPERS is a California, what is it? Public Employees Retirement System. Yeah. And this CalPERS is not just a one-stop shop. If it's teachers, it's government workers, it's police officers, it's sheriffs, highway patrol. They're all in CalPERS. And they have this huge multi-billion-dollar retirement fund, but they've been historically underfunded for decades. And there's talk that this pension fund is in trouble.
Yeah.
It's the same with LAPD's pension, because a pension fund can only survive if there are more people putting into the pension fund than taking out.
Yeah, but LAPD's pension is still not underfunded. It's what is it? Last I heard, it was like 101% or something like that funded, and so it's always been pretty healthy.
It has to be maintained properly. I mean, again, I go back to Washington. Washington has the most stable retirement system for law enforcement across the country, and that's because they have a board that knows how to invest the money, and they invest it well. The teachers union in Washington State, they're struggling. And they continue the policymakers continue to say, well, maybe we need to borrow from the law enforcement fund to bail the teachers out, which is just ridiculous. The law enforcement has done a good job. We've had a solid board who wasn't wacky, good investments. And man, we've got a lot of people out on retirement who don't worry about that pension fund at all.
Donovan, while we're talking, you do this so good. Can you Google how you do this so good? You're such a good researcher. Can you Google how funded, or whatever they call it, LAPD's pension is? Because now I'm curious. I just heard that like a couple of weeks ago, so I'm just curious if I'm lying or not. But while we're doing that, we can go on and see where we're at. So this is right along lines of this. How much overtime is realistic? Because we talked a little bit about overtime.
Depends on the department. I mean, it's really what it comes down to. Like, LA sheriffs, I mean, you're going to be working a ton of overtime. Like, that's just the way it is. A buddy of mine, my classmate who came from NYPD, says, I mean, he was lucky to get like 4 days off in a month because he was always forced to work overtime. But where I'm at now, it's like, you get some overtime, but it's not crazy. But you also have plenty of overtime opportunities for like secondary employment, because what they've done is they've contracted out with like obviously all the schools. They literally have two different ways to work overtime, either through the city, like city overtime, where it's you work like transit systems or anything within the county, or secondary employment, which is like private entities like churches. You can work 4 hours, just doing security for a church, or 6 hours just at a bank. You're working overtime there, and basically those organizations and entities pay the city to have cops work there. So I mean, there's like unlimited overtime opportunities here where you can work whatever you want, or you don't have to either.
Yeah. Donovan, what did you find out?
Well, Ken, you might want to get back to work.
What happened?
It's funded at 59.3%, which is considered critical.
Oh, that's not right.
And that's the Los Angeles Fire and Police pensions.
Are you sure it's the right figure though? Because that doesn't sound right. I mean, that's never sounded right. Even during the 2008 meltdown, it was still. I'm
just telling you, that's they say the ratios that it's at right now say that it's critical. Now it's just below the line for critical. It's right at the at-risk line.
That doesn't make sense. I've never heard that before.
I'm going to call BS on this, Donovan, because I'm looking at LAFPP's actual. They have a newsletter came out May 20.
Yeah, well, they're going to lie.
Oh, please.
They say the LA Fire Police pension system is 100.5% funded as of the fiscal year ending in June of 2025.
Yeah, so
they also say the retiree health benefits are funded at 78%.
How can it be 105% funded?
100.5. Well, I'm not a CPA. I can't tell you, but I know that it's been that in that 90 something to 100% range for years. Even in 2008.
I'm going number one, I'm not going to trust the pensions newsletter.
Well, they have to. They
don't have to put out reliable news. I'm looking at what plainpension.com's coming up with.
So so I do know that the contribution that they've increased the amount that new officers have to put into the pension system.
Oh yeah, to pay for me.
Hold on, this is funny. I clicked on, so that was just a snippet. I just gave you this little snippet. I clicked on it. Now it says it's funded at 99.8%. What? Why can't they get their little snippet right?
Well, because it was clickbait.
Because they got you to click on it. That's why.
Are there any port pictures on that website?
Well, no. I clicked and got the right information.
Oh, okay. Well, you had to click on it, but they got you with this 59%. That's like, what? Right? That's wrong.
It's graded at a C.
On which site though?
Who's grading it?
It's the plain pension. They say it's 99% funded, so
yeah.
I don't know what it takes to get an A, but
yeah. So I mean that's pretty good. But I mean now find out how much CalPERS is funded, because I think that should be
CalPERS, huh?
Yeah, because that's important.
So
let's see.
According to this, what I'm reading, 79%.
That's not. I don't know if that's terrible or not. I don't know. In pension land,
they're saying as of June 30th, it's up to 85%, which is up from 79% at the end of 25.
Is that good?
85%, yeah.
You know, the thing about the pensions too, and sorry to get into the weeds on this, guys, but one of the things about the pensions is by law, California governments are required. California governments can be almost bankrupt, and they're still required to pay into the public employees' pension systems for their agencies. And so even if they're broke, they still have to fund those pensions because it's a contractual issue by law. And that's why in 2008, when San Bernardino and I think Stockton and whoever else had to declare bankruptcy, that's the only way they could stop paying into the pension funds. And that's one of the problems why they're underfunded. But those are things that you need to be aware of. Job says CalPERS controls most of California first responder retirements. That's wild if they're not financially stable. Yeah. I mean, you could do a deep dive into this and CalPERS and find out more about it, but I don't know all of it, but I know they're in trouble. So
well, Washington State's program is well funded. We're 106% funded.
How can you be 106% funded?
I don't know, but remember the one I told you that they dipped into, the old timers fund? That was funded at 160% because there was only I think 20 people left in that whole program.
Yeah, there's a way how they do it, but I don't know enough about finances, stuff like that.
But I'm better than your system, Ken, so you'll run out of money before me.
The system that they rated. Yeah, so I would have to do a little more digging into that, but I keep reading newspaper articles and things about it, and that they're in kind of a troubled CalPERS. But let's see here. Here we go. What's the retirement really like? Donovan, what's retirement really like?
Boring. I mean, if you think about it, you go from a job where, we say that, you're sitting in your car, but you're still doing something all the time. And then if you retire, if you don't have anything to go into, you're sitting around. So you got to have an exit plan. And that's why I'm still working, because I just get bored. So,
yeah. Donovan, I can attest, gets bored even if he's working full time. He gets bored and has to go do another full time somewhere.
Yeah.
So, and he does the podcast and he does his own business while he's working full time.
Yeah. I mean, it's retirement. I can't complain because I'm doing what I would like now. Now that I've grown up, I get to see what I want to do. So,
yeah.
So, you get to that retirement age and you can say, I'm one bad day away from retiring. I'm like, I don't know, a quarter day away from just walking off the job. I don't care.
Yep. I think retirement is, it's pretty cool. You worked all those years. I started working when I was 14, and I'm tired of reporting to the man, reporting to the office and stuff like that. And so, retirement, one thing that kind of, you have to kind of be prepared for is, I don't know about you, Donovan, but most of the retirements that I know of, you get paid once a month. And for someone who's getting paid every 2 weeks, it's not a big deal. It's just all your money comes in all at once to the first of the month, and then you do your bills or whatever you have to do. But retirement is really cool. But I would say that your retirement will be so much better if you stay healthy, if you have a healthy lifestyle, Rob's work-life balance. If you do all that and you put the effort in at the beginning of your career, when retirement comes, you're going to be happy, you're going to be healthy, you're going to do everything you want, you're going to be able to travel and all that. And if you do all the other stuff we say with the 401k and your finances and things, man, you're going to retire, you're going to go on a cruise, you're going to go to Europe, you're going to be traveling, you're going to be camping, whatever you want. And there's not going to be no alarm clock. And when I first retired, I saw a meme or something like that. And it said, when you retire, your weekend is 7 days long. And that's what you're working for. So, I mean, that's for me.
Ken forgets what day of the week it is.
I don't even know what today is. Ken, is your retirement pay from LAPD enough for you to live on and enjoy life? No, I'm on welfare. Nobody knows this. No, it's
He's
absolutely
on the SNAP program.
Yeah. Food stamps, stuff like that. Yeah.
Food stamps. No, it actually is very good. I have a pension from LAPD and a pension from personnel, and LAPD pays for my medical. They pay my medical, and so I don't really have any. The bills that I have are just whatever I make. There's more than enough money for me to live a happy life, and I don't have financial struggles because of the department that I had worked for at the time had taken care of us financially. So I got no complaints about LAPD into retirement. But and I do everything I want to do and go where I want to go and spend money on what I want to spend on. And that's the goal, right?
It's amazing, though, when me and Ken meet up for lunch, he always forgets his wallet for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't know why. I try and pay with my looks, and they never have accepted it yet. So, but if you work it right, it doesn't take a lot, guys. It doesn't take a lot to retire comfortably and do all that. Just don't spend all your money. And there's a lot of people, you'll see stories over and over again about these people that are 70 years old, and they cannot stop working.
Right. Yep. There's some that are 70 that just want to continue to work.
And there's some like Donovan who's not quite 70.
There's some that are 70 and they literally cannot stop working because they can't afford to stop working. So if you're going to keep working, be the one that you can work because you want to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't just plan it out. People just don't think about that stuff, and you have to plan it out. Make sure you make good financial decisions. But most people that I know who retire from civil service, from some kind of civil service job, they're doing really well into retirement. Yeah. And then if you retire, you're usually going to retire, what, Rob, about 50, or Donovan in your early 50s, maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Between 50 and 55 usually.
20, 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be in your mid 50s at the oldest.
Yep.
That's more. You can go do whatever. You can work part time. You can be a crossing guard. You can work at Target or Walmart as a greeter. You can do anything you want because you don't have to work, right? So that's pretty cool. So I hope we encouraged everybody to, their finances and stuff. Okay, here's the $1 million question. This is the last question that we have. Is becoming a cop still worth it?
I would say yes. Just depends on the department.
Yeah. Okay.
It's still worth it, I think.
Well, okay. So let me add to it. Coming off of 2020, BLM, all that stuff. It took police officers were demonized big time. Are we coming out of that now, or what's the deal?
I think so. I look at it in this mindset because a lot of people look at it as like, oh, it's law enforcement's changed forever. I don't look at it that way. I see it as like a pendulum. So like 2020, we're way far left, like anti-cop, all of that rhetoric. I think eventually we're going to swing back around to where it's like, hey, people respect law enforcement. The job becomes a little bit easier. Maybe, it's just going to take time. It's not going to be like, we're only 6 years out of 2020. I think it's going to change. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you right now, look at what's going on in Seattle. Keep an eye on Seattle because that was one of the big cities of defund the police. They have a socialist mayor now. And over the recent weeks with everything going on there, she has now hit an all-time low, I think, for any mayor in the city with her approval rating. She's barely making 32% approval rating.
Yeah.
The city is the majority of the citizens now are barking that they need public safety. They want officers. Get us officers hired now. We're going back. And I always say, it's kind of like that roller coaster. Yep, we like them, we don't. We like them, we don't. National disaster, oh, everything's good. National disaster, everything's good. So it's just it just takes one event, and that's what happened in Seattle. One event turned the ship around.
Yep.
And that's the way it goes everywhere. You just got to be careful. Some communities are never going to change. Portland.
Yeah, Portland's in bad shape.
I compare, is becoming a cop still worth it? I compare it to like, if you invest in the stock market, like, you make the money, you don't invest when things are good. You don't make your money there. You invest when things are low. Like, and it's also the long haul too. You're not there for the short-term gain. Whereas I look at, becoming a cop, like right now it's at an all-time, was at an all-time low. Like, it's only going to get better throughout the years. So like, if you come in now, you've worked when it's the worst and it's only going to keep getting better. I see it.
Yeah. I don't see it as a one-stop answer. I would say that it's worth it if the community that you serve supports you, if the city government supports you, because you can have X amount of pay and benefits and all that, but if it's a pain in the butt to do police work, does your department let you do police work without micromanaging your tone of voice and all that? Right. So I would say 100%, there's a ton of departments out there where you go, oh yeah, I want to work here. And there's other ones where you go, I guess I'll put up with this, But if you have a department that you go, man, my department loves me, the people love me, just like I was always told, like Tennessee loves their cops. They love their police. California, not so much.
Right.
Not so much. And so that's going to be a big difference as to whether it's still worth it or not.
Right.
But if I was going to apply today, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't compromise. I wouldn't put up with the department because, like the whole thing, the old thing with Rob and Donovan, man, LAPD, just to say that you were LAPD, so cool. Yeah, I don't know, not so cool anymore.
No, right.
So So the prestige doesn't have to be there.
Right. You just got to find a department that is a fit for you, because there are people who want to work in Portland and that is a fit for them. That is the style of policing they want to do. Great. Have at it. Every community needs police, despite what people say. Every community needs police. You just have to find the one that fits you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's important. And I think Rob picked the right department. I think you did some research and picked the right one.
Yeah, I mean, it's still similar to LAPD in a sense, but they still love their cops, and we get treated pretty well.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I'm waiting for the y'alls to come out.
The y'all.
A couple weeks he'll come on with the cowboy hat.
I mean, I do have a cowboy hat with me, so and I got cowboy.
Man, I'd love to be a cowboy, man. If I could be a cowboy and wear a cowboy hat, wear cowboy boots and all that, that'd be so cool.
I'm gonna wear my cowboy hat next episode.
Do it, man. Your headphone might have a little problem with that, but that's okay. Yes, Job says California is hit and miss with the public, like their law enforcement. Yeah, it's true. You never know in California what you're going to get, and if you go to an area where no matter what the cops do, it's not right, you might want to think about whether you want to work there.
Yep.
So it's a 50-50 question for me whether it's worth it or not. Just depends on the area that you're in. So I think that's all of our questions, guys. I think that was those last two episodes were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like them. And thank you, Job, for coming in and being the Black Rob support group.
Yes.
Fan base for Black Rob. And anything else in closing, guys?
No, just thanks to Job for being the fill-in fourth host. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Rob, you good?
I'm good. Yeah. If anybody has any questions about Tennessee departments, hit me up on here or Instagram, and be happy to help out anybody if they want to come to Tennessee.
Make sure you put a yeehaw at the end of whatever you ask them, though.
Y'all.
Yeehaw. We got books for sale.
Fantastic book right here, man. Woo.
Yeah. Help us keep the lights on.
Can't put this one down, man. This is a page turner.
Page turner. If you want to learn about background investigations from the inside, this is the book to get. If you want to know everything there is to know about police interviews, Donovan's book is the end-all to end-all for police interview books. Plus, he does consultations, and there's a workbook along with this book you can purchase too. So, at any rate, we want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. And if you have comments later on after you watch this, feel free, and we try and get in there and answer them all. Otherwise, we will see you guys next week.
Yep.